of Brent.
Radio Television, you're watching RTE1. And now it's time for 6-1 with Brian Dobson and Uno Hagan.
Drugs dealer Dutchy Holland is found guilty as the court accepts Supergrass evidence. A British government report condemns former Guinness boss Ernest Saunders for his role in the distillers' takeover. And a tough warning from the country's top trade union boss over budget tax cuts. Good evening, welcome to 6-1. Also on the programme this evening, a nationwide strike by 50,000 health board and local authority workers, which was due to start tomorrow, is called off.
Fellow rock stars and actors join hundreds of grieving fans to pay a final tribute to Michael Hutchence at his funeral in Sydney. And in sport, Manchester United need just 1 point in tonight's game against Kozice to go through to the Champions League quarter-finals.
But first, Patrick Eugene Holland, the man Gardaí believe murdered Veronica Guerin, has been found guilty at the Special Criminal Court of possessing cannabis for sale or supply. His sentence has been adjourned until tomorrow. Referring to the evidence of Supergrass Charles Bowden, who is now on a witness protection programme, Mr Justice Johnson said the judges were aware of the danger of accepting the uncorroborated word of an accomplice. But he also said the judges had not accepted Holland's claim in court that Gardaí had lied about interviews.
Known as Dutchy and the Whig, Patrick Eugene Holland was, by his own admission to Gardaí, a late entrant into the lucrative criminal world of drug dealing. Garda evidence accepted by the court as truthful revealed that he told them that at 57 years of age he was introduced to drug dealing by a high-profile drugs baron. He blamed financial difficulties and a desire to buy a dream home in County Wicklow. On trial for a drugs offence, it was the alleged links between Holland and the murder of Veronica Guerin that made this a headline case. It was also the first case in which evidence was given and accepted from a criminal on a witness protection programme. Charles Bowden, who admitted priming the gun used to murder the crime journalist, has been given immunity from any prosecution in connection with the Guerin investigation. He identified Holland as the Whig, a major player in a drugs operation he fronted. He said Holland received regular supplies of between 20 and 50 kilos of cannabis. The drugs were stored at a warehouse here at the Greenmount Industrial Estate, which was raided by Gardaí as a result of their investigations into Ms Guerin's murder. Holland was arrested at Dunleary Port last April on suspicion of the unlawful possession of a firearm at the Naas Road the day Veronica Guerin was murdered. He told the Special Criminal Court he'd left Ireland because of the publicity surrounding his alleged involvement, but returned to answer Garda questions. He claimed on that day he spent the morning in Dublin before picking up his dole in Crumlin, then collecting his wife and sister-in-law in Bray and returning to his County Wicklow home. The arresting Garda said in evidence she was of the opinion he was the man who had murdered Veronica Guerin. He was never charged in connection with his Section 30 arrest, but faced a drugs charge. The judges of the Special Criminal Court took just over 3 hours today to reach their verdict. Mr Justice Johnson acknowledged the dangers of accepting the uncorroborated evidence of an accomplice. The judges accepted corroborating evidence from Gardaí of statements made by Holland while in Luton Garda Station admitting his involvement in drug dealing. The 3 judges were satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Holland was guilty as charged. Jimmy Guerin, a brother of Veronica Guerin's, was in court throughout the trial, sitting in close proximity to Holland. Holland will be sentenced tomorrow. A conviction under the Misuse of Drugs Act can carry a sentence up to and including life imprisonment. Mary Wilson, RTE News, the Special Criminal Court.
Well, Mary Wilson joins us now from the Special Criminal Court. Mary, what was the reaction of Holland and of the Gardaí to the judge's decision?
Well, throughout the 7-day trial, Dutchy Holland has been an active participant in his defence. He would become quite animated at some times, passing notes through his solicitor to his counsel, and having several consultations with them. There were several adjournments. When the judges announced their verdict today, he was sitting as usual in the dock between 2 prison officers, and when Mr Justice Johnson concluded and handed down the guilty verdict, Dutchy Holland nodded to him as though to say, OK, I hear what you're saying. He then picked up a large brown paper bag which was full of files and walked out of the dock.
Well, what kind of sentence could the judge impose?
Well, under the Misuse of Drugs Act, which is the legislation under which Holland was charged, he could face a sentence up to and including life imprisonment. The Gardaí were not unsurprisingly delighted that they've got a guilty verdict in this case. It's the first time that they've used a witness such as Charles Bowden, who's on this witness protection programme, and it's expected that Bowden will be giving evidence in future expected trials surrounding the Guerin investigation.
Well, during the trial we heard various allegations being made about Holland's involvement in the Veronica Guerin murder. Is he likely to face any further charges?
Well, at this point, all I can say to that is we don't know. He was originally detained under Section 30 on suspicion of the unlawful possession of a firearm at the Naas Road on June 26, 1996, the day, of course, that Veronica Guerin was shot. He was never charged under that Section 30 arrest, but charged on a drugs offence. So we don't know at this point. It may happen at some stage in the future.
Mary Wilson, thank you for talking to us.
Well, staying in the courts, the case in which the state is challenging a district court judge's decision to release 5 men arrested on serious drugs charges has begun in the High Court. 2 of the 5 have been missing since their release. The judge responsible for freeing them, Judge William Early, was not present or represented in court.
The DPP, acting for the Gardaí, took this case to the High Court. The state wants the court to quash 2 orders Judge William Early made on November the 18th, releasing 5 men arrested in connection with the £3 million cannabis haul, and 2 days later releasing for a second time 3 of the same men who had just been rearrested. The state is also seeking an order of mandamus to compel Judge Early either to charge the 5 or permit them to be charged in the district court. The state claimed in the High Court today the 1996 Drug Trafficking Act is at the heart of the matter as to whether or not the Gardaí needed to swear new information before rearresting the men. The state claims the judge not only acted outside his jurisdiction but also made an error in law by releasing the 5 men. The judge was neither present nor represented in court today. Gardaí still can't find 2 of the 5 men, Eugene Kelly and Michael Maguire, and were therefore unable to serve legal documents on them this week. Over 250 people have been arrested under the 1996 drug trafficking legislation, so the outcome of this hearing could have serious legal implications for other drug trials. The hearing continues tomorrow. Paul Reynolds, RTE News, the High Court.
Now some news just in. A man has been shot and wounded in North Belfast this evening. The IUC said at about 5 o'clock 2 gunmen entered a taxi firm on the Crumlin Road. A man was shot a number of times and has been taken to hospital.